Evening, everyone who's watching. Good evening to my guest,
Good evening.
Mr. Noel Cayasso Smith. So let's go through your titles really quickly. So we have Chief Executive Officer of the Cayman AIDS Foundation. You're also the AIDS Program Coordinator there as well. And you're also the founder and president of the Cayman LGBTQ Foundation. CLGBTQF. That's a lot of letters. Okay, and I'm going down your bio, and you wear quite a few hats. So we have as well that you have your entertainment company, Nolly Brown Entertainment, and also you have your own leather company. So you're doing leather goods. So that's shoes called shoes and handbags, is it? Called Cayasso?
Cayasso leather, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get into all of that. Get into all of that. Let's have a good chat. So I should dial it back a bit and introduce myself. So my name is King Navasa. I am the volunteer coordinator at Black Beetle Health, and we are here today, and the topic is becoming the change you want to see. And this is the perfect candidate, Mr. Noel Cayasso Smith. Big changes happening in the Cayman Islands, and we want to get some insight onto what the mission is of the newly formed foundation and how you got to this point, Mr. Cayasso Smith. So where should we begin? I'll actually, you know what? Let's begin here. Tell me about the LGBT Foundation in the Cayman Islands. So when was it founded?
It's been up and going for about a year, but we didn't actually register it until the 20th of April, 2020. This year was when we officially became a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
So,
very new.
Yes.
Still very new. Still, wow. What timing as well, though, because there is a lot of heat going on in Cayman regarding same-sex relationships, same-sex marriages. I just we're going to get into that in more detail soon, because I want to ask you questions about the bill. So I'm telling you this from now so you can start thinking about it. Okay.
Okay.
So going back to the LGBTQ Foundation, how big is your team at the moment? So tell me, what's the mission? How big is the team? What's in the works? What's going on?
Okay. Oh my God, it's going back for a while. Should I take it from the beginning to where we progress?
Take it to the beginning. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll cut you off if it goes too long.
I know I look good for 52, so I've been around for a while. And growing up here in the Cayman Islands have had its challenges, especially being a gay person. I can relate to a lot of things that have been happening here over the years that I've basically faced head on my own, being a gay person growing up here. It's been a struggle for any gay person here, especially not coming out to your family. I don't really care too much about the friends thing, but the family, you know, people do come out to friends quicker than they would their family or mother and fathers and stuff. And it was really hard and challenging for me. And, you know, nobody sort of knew what your sexuality was because it never really caught you doing anything that you shouldn't. But there was always this, we think you are, you know, and pointing fingers and stereotyping people. And of course you would call names such as queer and whatever have you. And many times I just wish that you could come out and say, yes, I am. So what about it? You know, but at that given point in time in school, you couldn't do it. You know, you left school, you get a job. You had to be very mindful and careful about how you portray yourself in the workplace as well as in public. There wasn't any gay.
So just to note here, so this is just testament to the homophobic culture that's bred there.
Yeah.
And we can kind of, I'll go on and say it. We know that it's a very Christian-heavy country. So I think a lot of it comes from that.
Pick up into the Christian heavy bit there. And I know a lot of people are going to get upset about this, but when we're talking about the Christian people here, you know, this country was built on Christian values, so everybody sort of pushed and ran down your throat. But for what's been taking place back then till now, I don't see it being very Christian value-y, because Christians doesn't go out and target people and criticize and judge, you know, and tell you what you can and can't do. That to me isn't very Christian-like. I'm not a non-Christian believer, because as you know, growing up in the Cayman Islands, we had to go to Sunday school every Sunday, whether we wanted to or not. Your parents would drag you out of bed, get you dressed, and send you to Sunday school.
Yeah, my parents would drag me out of bed and send me with the neighbors. Every Sunday, Mr. Mendez was picking me up in his little bus, and I was like, why? But yeah.
It was Mr. Carlton for me, you know? So we had that to look forward to. My parents were really strict, and I've always said this: kids do not get born and grow up with hatred and, you know, discriminate and that sort of thing. There's things that they're installed in them as we go on. And
behaviors.
Yes. So if you grew up around people that are always saying, oh, look at that faggot, or look at that queer, and, you know, this sort of thing, obviously, if your surroundings are hatred towards the LGBTQ community, you're going to grow up with the same attitude and the same mindset, because that's what you're being told or what you're being hearing around you. And
sorry, what you're saying is you're being taught to hate yourself.
Yes, basically. So this makes you go more into hiding. Don't want to, you know, live your life or be true to yourself. Growing up, I knew I was gay from a very early age. I used to put on my mom dresses. Don't laugh, came because I still do it up today when we do our drag shows. But you know, I remember the neighbors telling my mom that I used to have her heels clogging around the place when she was at work. I used to get that. Now I can walk around in 7-inch stilettos without having any problems, but that was back then.
I wish I could walk in heels. I cannot. But kudos to you.
Growing up and you know, going to school and hear people being called names and all sorts of things, it made me feel as though, is this something I really want to do? Do I want to come out and be basically trashed and treated as if I'm not worth anything by these people? And for years it bothered me, and I keep thinking to myself, if I wanted to come out to say that I'm gay, who am I disturbing? Whose life am I interrupting by saying this? And I could never understand why people are so upset because there's someone gay in their community, you know? And I struggled with that for a long time. Then, of course, your parents not knowing, and you're constantly being bombarded as you get older. Where's your girlfriend?
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's the question right there. When you're going to bring home a daughter or a son.
Exactly. Every year at Thanksgiving, we used to get bombarded with that. It became annoying at sometimes, but you just had to keep your cool, because obviously you didn't want to let the cat out of the bag. During high school,
I was going to say, how did you overcome a lot of that in high school? But I guess you're just about to touch on it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I ended up getting involved with some females and started dating to sort of cover things up, or to try and bring, you know, the level of concern down to take some of the heat off me. And at some point, I thought to myself, you know what, this isn't really fair on this particular person that you're involved with, because you're taking away a certain amount of their life away from them, where there's a possibility they're going to grow to love you. But then there's nothing that can happen between the two of you all, because eventually you're going to drift away to become who you are. So it's selfish in a sense. Luckily, I can say that the people I've been involved with, I still speak to them, we're still friends, which sometimes isn't really what happens, being where we are as well. But
you mean the female counterparts, or some of your exes?
Sorry?
You mean your female counterparts? Did you still stay in contact with them?
Exes. So, you know, I can detest to where, you know, plenty of times I felt depressed. I I just sort of kept to myself. When you're around your friends, you try your very best not to do anything too flamboyant that would draw attention to you. And you think to yourself, obviously they have an idea, but they don't want to come and say it to your face, you know, so they'll say stuff behind your back. And, they think, well, is he, isn't he? How can we find out? Or they'll go to some other gay person that is openly gay and say, do you know such and such? Do you know if he's gay? And this sort of thing. And I remember struggling for a long time. I was depressed. I was upset. I'm not going to lie to anyone. I even thought about just ending it, you know, because to me that was just better than coming out and telling your parents and have to live a lie. But I don't
we can see how that built up to that. Like from everything you've said so far, we can see how it built up to that. And that's a very common truth for a lot of people in our community. That is a very common truth.
And the Caribbean, for some reason,
it goes back to that very important fact as well, where you said that we are taught to hate ourselves growing up.
Yeah. In the Caribbean, we have the hardest, I think, when it comes to acceptance for being gay, especially Caribbean families, because, you know, a lot of Caribbean families have a problem with that. And my biggest concern was my father at that time, because he was one of these so-called macho people, and you know, and he cared more about what his friends thought, you know, and you would hear him says, oh yeah, no gay in my family and this and that, and the next thing, you know, and that again stopped you from even thinking of coming out, you know.
You know what? When you say that, do you ever think that at some point they knew, your family knew, and they would say those comments around you just to sort of deter you from accepting yourself because they didn't want it to be real, essentially? Do you feel like it was sort of like vindictive or spiteful, where they see you and suddenly they have to work, oh, we don't have any fags around, into the conversation? It's just like, why does that come up abruptly?
Because
why does it come
right
up when I'm in the room?
You're right. I think they had an idea, but they weren't sure. So they think by probably saying those things would make you think twice. And for some reason, everybody thinks that being gay is a choice, that you can just switch it off and go to being a heterosexual. But if being gay was a choice, why would anyone put themselves through such heartache, headaches, and pain? You know, trying to be who they are. Yeah, it is not good. And all through school, I was, you know, people were insinuating or being called names. So I decided, you know what, let me just go and find somebody to date to sort of get some of the heat off me. And I was so uncomfortable. It was unbelievable. It just wasn't me, you know. And you think to yourself, you look around you at some point and you see your family doing their things, sisters have boyfriends and doing this and that, and there you are, miserable as hell. And you think to yourself, why are you doing this to yourself? You know, why? I remember I was working. Go ahead. I was going to say, so this is still you in your high school period, dating girls to try and make grandpa happy or whatever the case may have been. And knowing in yourself that this isn't me, but this is what I got to do right now to survive. Exactly. Because at that given point in time, you don't know what your parents would say if they found out you were gay 100%. Obviously, they probably had some idea. You were in school. You had no way of fending for yourself, putting a roof over your head, food on the table, that sort of thing. So it's a role, basically, that you have to play to survive. So we have some comments. So just sorry to interrupt there. We have some comments. So Tycho F, TC, I call him. He says he can't believe you're 52. You're lying. And good for 52. That's a good 52, I tell you. The comeback was real. And Della Morte 92. Hi, Della. She says, if they're your real friends, they accept you and love you no matter what. They just want to see you happy, and which is true. And she also says, my brother did the same thing. This is regarding coming out. He felt so much shame about being gay. When he came out and told me, I told him I knew, but I wanted him to feel safe coming to tell me. So
as I see, you see, common truth for a lot of people in our community,
Yeah.
having to live that lie a bit. It's, and then Della jumps in and says 52 lies. So I know exactly what you want to say. So just go ahead and say it.
It's all the coconut milk and stuff here in the Cayman Islands. That's in the beautiful sea. But
and the melanin.
Yeah. But
okay.
you know, it's I remember in my 20s we used to go clubs and stuff, and you know, back in the day, if your sisters wanted to go somewhere, you had to go as a bigger brother, or they couldn't go. You know?
Yeah.
And we all had to come back home at the same time. So you're there. There's no one that you're interested in, or perhaps you go to this party with them, you see some cute boy that's there, and you wouldn't dare approach until I think you're cute. You know, you just sit there while they're enjoying themselves or whatever, and you be thinking to yourself, when is going to be my turn? You know, when it's my turn?
When am I going to get some of that?
Exactly. When I'm going to meet someone, is somebody ever going to walk up to me and says, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, and I'm gay, how are you?" and whatever. That never happens because everybody's too busy hiding, you know? So you're left on a limb on your own. And during school, up to the very last year of school, which was 1985, we graduated, showing my age.
So you see the comments? Wow, coconut milk sales just went up.
So when I left school, I got a job, a couple of months actually, and I ended up being the front desk manager at the Cayman Islands Hotel. That's the little hotel next to where was that now? Just across from the Marriott. The only one that left with the old Cayman housing sort of things, owned by the Gettys from Jamaica, that's been closed for so many years. Right across from the Marriott.
I'm guessing you're saying this is what, the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, but it's still there. They just sold it the other day.
Okay. Which building is that?
Cayman Islander, next to Peppers.
Oh, it's like a bunch of little wooden...
little huts, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And
there used to be a doctor at some point there as well, right? Yeah. Something like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think I was about 22, 23 when I was working there. It was me and Linda Rankin and a few other Caymans over there. And, you know, being on the front desk, you see visitors come and go, and you see gay couples come and do their thing, and you're just there. That obviously drag up stuff within you as well, where these people can come here as a couple and enjoy themselves, and you're there waiting on them thinking, hell, what happened to me? You know, what is going on? You know, when am I ever going to reach that stage in life?
Where's my slice of the pie?
Yeah. I remember just
where's my
breaking down in tears. Wondering, you know, what's going to come up, what is going to become of my life? Am I destined to just be hiding for the rest of my life, you know, and not being happy and finding someone to share my life with? It was
and that itself is the box. That's the box right there.
Yeah.
That is it. And it keeps shrinking as well.
Meet up with one or two people that was gay here on the island. And, but of course, they were in the closet too. But they were more in the closet than me to a point. And it was like, we can't be seeing each other. If I saw you on the road somewhere, I couldn't even say hello to you because people suspect I was gay, not you because you had a girlfriend and all this sort of stuff. And I really got offended with that because I thought if this was a true thing, first of all, I felt bad cheating. Well, I wasn't cheating on his girlfriend. He was cheating on her along with me, you know? But that was the only outlet
Did you just out yourself in that relationship? Will they watch this back and...
Hey, it is what it is. At least they didn't call any names.
Okay, fair enough.
So, and then, you know, I thought, this isn't for me because this is crazy. You claim you're involved with someone and you go up somewhere and you see him and his other half together. You can't even go over and say hello.
No, you can't. You cannot even look too hard that way.
They don't acknowledge you as being alive. Because if they look at you, the wife is going to probably say, "Why are you looking at that gay person over there? Or who's supposed to be gay? What's up? What's going on there?" So, the only time that you'll get to see each other when you hide somewhere to go meet each other somewhere or whatever. And to me, that definitely weren't working for me. I didn't like the idea of that, so I sort of like
that's the secret cruising culture that kind of developed because everyone had to hide. And we're trying to get away from that now and just promote visibility.
It came to the point where I'm not the type of person, never have been king, that believe in just meeting someone and running off and having sex with them. Don't believe in it. It's got to be some connection somewhere, or I'm just not interested. That's how I think. And I guess that really affected me in a way. I wouldn't say affect to a point. It just hindered me from having my sexual numbers at a high rate. Because at 52, I can honestly tell you, if I've slept with 20 people between leaving high school and reaching age, I would say 36, I would be lying. Because it just wasn't, I call myself a late bloomer, Sometimes my standards were a bit too high, and they still are to a point. But
but let me just tell you, your numbers they're slightly higher than mine.
Okay. Damn.
Exactly, slightly higher than mine. That's all I'll say. But this is about you.
Yep. So what happened then is that I was still working at the place. I had a breakdown where I just couldn't take it anymore. Ended up crying. My boss told me to go home. I remember going home and my mom's helper called until I was there crying. She didn't know why. So my mom came home and she asked me what was the situation, what was going on with me, if I was okay, blah, blah. I said, yes, I'm fine. But obviously we couldn't get into the details of why I felt so depressed and why I was crying. I worked there for a few more years and then I decided, you know what? I have got to get off this island, because if not, I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to do something stupid, because I can't live like this anymore.
Was this 2004?
Yeah.
There we go.
You're getting
I didn't even have to ask the question. Go ahead. Take us on that journey.
You get in fights trying to defend yourself as not being gay. Because if somebody call you a faggot or gay or whatever, you punch their face in, and you just get very violent because you're trying to secure yourself as being a hetero. And I thought, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. You're going to end up getting yourself arrested or whatever the situation may be. At this time, I had no knowledge about HIV or any of that stuff. Because back then, it wasn't really such a huge thing. I mean, it wasn't a huge thing, but for us, it was like, wasn't something we were too concerned about.
Well, it's Cayman for one. So
yeah,
it's something that they wouldn't want to talk about openly anyway, being Christian.
Exactly. So I decided, you know what, I got to get the hell out of here. So I worked and I saved and saved and saved. And then I came, I remember saying to my mom and them, I said, listen, I've got to go. I'm going to the UK for a bit because I need a break from here. And, I just need to get away. So I packed my little bag and I ventured off to the UK.
What happened once you got here?
My first 2 weeks in the UK came when I went out. Of course, you meet friends and stuff. And I went to, because I had friends I was talking to previously before I come, because when I came, I had friends and stuff. And I went to the first gay bar called the Black Horse in Camden Town.
Pausing just a second, because we have a guest that's leaving, but they just have some nice words for you there. That's Tykoff 93. He says, wish I could stay, being this is great to listen to. The same experiences we all have that I hope, let me scroll back down, that I hope the younger generation or next generation won't need to deal with, which is obviously the goal. We want to make sure they don't have to deal with the same cycle that we've gone through. Thank you, TC. Love you. Take care.
Thank you. Call me.
Stop it.
I want to get those numbers higher.
So you let's take that pin back out. You said you were in the UK. This is now you in your late 20s, going 30s. Am I right? Or
Yeah.
what happened once you got set up here?
When I got here, I got my place to stay, and I was doing my thing, and I decided, you know what, let me just go out to a place called the Black Horse, which was a gay club, a gay bar in Cayman Islands. And I walked in there, and I was gobsmacked because my mouth was open, you know, to see what was going on in there. And
was this in London by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, I know what was going on.
And I was like, is this for real? You know, people just living their lives here, nobody care. People walking down the street holding hands, kissing. Nobody batted an eyelid or had nothing negative to say. Like, look at those old flags going there and calling you names and whatever have you. You know, it's accepted. You know, you're free. And I thought, oh my God, free at last, free at last. I sounded like Martin Luther King, you know, and we just got released from gay slavery.
Yes. I have to celebrate with you on that point because just, I completely relate. I know.
I became very comfortable with myself. And I've always told people up to today that I respect the UK highly because that taught me self-worth. It taught me how to respect myself. It taught me to be true to myself. You know, it just taught me so many things. And believe me, I lived in the UK, came for 13 years, and I never put foot back in the Cayman Islands. I refused to go. If I wanted to meet my family, meet me in Miami, we all go meet up and go shopping.
You know why I have to laugh? Because there's so many things that just match up word for word in my life experiences from what you're saying. Because that's exactly what I'm going 3 years over here now, almost 3 years. 3 years? 2 years. Going 3. And when I wanted to meet up with my friends from Cayman, we met up in New York. Or they came here, and when they came here, we went even further. We went to Europe. So it's like, no, I'm not going there right now. I'm not going back to Cayman right now. Y'all come here. Let's meet somewhere else.
Absolutely.
I completely get it.
But actually, I've jumped the gun a bit. I remember taking a trip to Europe just before I moved, because I came to the UK, then I went to Germany. I went to France, I went to Venice, I went to Rome, I went to Italy. I pretty much covered a lot of places there because it was 30 days I went. And that sort of gave me an idea what was going on. Not fully till I moved to the UK that I realized I could be who I am and without having to go on my shoulder. Of course, family weren't there, so it wasn't an issue and all this foolishness. Because I even lived in the US. I lived in the US for a while. I lived in Washington, D.C. with my cousin. But obviously, she didn't know I was gay, so it was the same situation where you had to go out and hide to go to gay clubs and all this foolishness. Nobody could visit you. It just following the same footsteps as being in Cayman. You know? So that was a no-no for me as well.
Oh, no. So, it's another toxic environment for you personally.
No. So I decided, you know what? It's time for me to tell my family. Because then I was working, I was doing well, I didn't have a problem. Who cares if they didn't accept me or didn't want to be around me? That's their loss. That was my mental state at that moment.
So let's explore that before you tell us about coming out to your family. So you said, you were working, you were confident now, I'm guessing you had a flat and all that set up. You were confident in your own skin and you were confident with your sexuality. So that's at that point. It's at that point that you felt, okay, I can tell my family now. Is that because you don't have to play that role anymore because you don't have to rely on them at all?
Exactly. Because relying on your family plays a big role in coming out to them because you never know what direction it's going to turn. If it turns really badly, that they throw you out of the house, then you're in the mercy of the needs assessment unit, government, or friends, or family.
And even they put harsh judgment on you because then they start whispering and saying, well, we heard about you, and just like, Is this a government office? Excuse me, I came here for help, not judgment.
Yep. Yep.
John Bricken, who is actually, that's Harvey. Harvey says, when you think about it, this is basically asylum seeking. Yes.
Pretty much. The only good thing is, as you know, Cayman is governed under the UK, so we get full access to go there and work and whatever have you. So it's not as difficult for us as coming from Africa or
back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the day when the money will allow it, because I would go back and forth at this point, but
yeah. So it was I thought to myself, this is crazy to just sit here and do this anymore. I sat down, I thought about growing up, I thought about my sisters. My older sister too, she had a serious problem with gay people.
This is the one that's in the BRAC?
No, the one in the BRAC is you're like this. This is my older sister that works in immigration. It's all, we don't have no gays in our family and this, not the next thing. And if they come near me and da-da-da-da-da and whatever have you, and I just think to myself, oh God, here we go, judge right, righteous, Miss Righteous, but I didn't really pay her any mind to a point. But my sister in the brat, Kathy, she is so accepting. She have never once made me feel uncomfortable around her, even up to today. We get along so well. She is like the closest one to me, really and truly, that I really hang with. Because if there's anything about me, I think she'll rip your heart out and watch you eat it. So.
Yeah, right. So how was it? So how was it with your siblings? How was it with your parents?
Mother's king. Oh, I knew. But
yeah,
I was just waiting to say something, don't get me wrong, my mom is a very religious person, as you know. She beat church door down everything they have, and she's up front and center, whatever have you. And she's never made me feel uncomfortable with my sexuality after telling her. Of course, it's not something that she 100% on board with, but she respects me and respects who I am, and never do anything to make me feel embarrassed or feel self-worth or anything like that. So I respect her for that. And I, in turn, don't do anything around her that would make her feel uncomfortable.
Just out of respect.
If I'm involved with someone and they come to visit near my house, my mom treat them as if they're part of her family. Oh. They get invited out quicker than I would. So it's like she respects who I'm with as long as that person respects me and treats me the right way.
So she's doing it out of love for you, so that's very pure.
Yeah. So she keeps saying to me, although I don't agree to lifestyle because of the Bible and whatever, you're my child, I love you, and it's your life. That's the situation. But going back before all this came forward, when I decided to tell them, it was very difficult. It was the hardest thing I have ever had to do in my life, because I had to be in a mindset where, okay, this could go for the good, or it could be disastrous where I'm going to lose my family.
Oh.
And it puts you in a depressed situation because you want it to go the right way, but after being in the surrounding, hearing so much negativity about gay people from your father and his so-called friends, and this is what get me, people hate on gay people for being in relationships and stuff. Yet when you look around what's going on with your father and his friends and all the rest out there cheating on my mom and doing all this foolishness, and their friends cheating on their wives, and that's acceptable and it's part of society, and hey, you're not a man unless you go out there and have 3 or 4 women on your wife. Careful now.
You're drowning me with the truth just now. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, it's the norm sort of thing, And I'm thinking, what the hell? It's like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And it took me a little while. It took me a few weeks to make up my mind. And I said, you know what? For all the years of suffering and living on my own and not having a relationship and getting in and out with people that are just, I call it you're being used, because you never going to ever have a relationship with them. You end up falling in love with one, and because they're already involved with somebody else, you're just the third wheel. So your love is being crushed because you know that they're not going to leave their other half for you. Yet when you try to break it off, they tell you they're going to leave their wife, they're going to leave this, they're going to leave that. And you know in the back of your mind, it's never going to happen. You know? So I said to them, I said, you know what, if you want to impress me, go tell your wife that me and you together, and then we'll go from here. We're in 2020, that never happened. So, you know, at some point you gotta have self-respect. You know, you gotta have boundaries, and you got to get to a place in life where you decide that you're not going to be used. You got to have great self-esteem, and you got to learn. This is a key thing. Medea RuPaul wasn't joking when she said this. If you cannot love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And it took me a very long time to love myself, because I thought that I wasn't worth anything, because I was shunned by society. Nobody wanted me. I couldn't find a relationship. So what good was I on earth? That's how I felt.
You're echoing my feelings, because that's I'm still in that box, honestly.
Yeah, it puts in a state of depression.
I'm looking at your life right now for inspiration, just so you know. So
this affects you mentally, physically. It also affects your relationship that you get into, because you always have in the back of your mind of trusting people with your heart. You know, you don't let go 100%, which is really bad. And I think a lot of times too, it also affects you sexually. And I'll touch on that bit a little later on, because
let's get on that.
It affects you in a lot of ways. Trust me when I tell you. And believe me when I tell you, King, I never in my wildest dream would think that in September 1st, 2020, I'll be sitting here talking about this so openly.
It's a good day, you know. You know what? Okay. Let's move on to something else that's supposed to be happening today, or something that's buzzing today in Cayman. So the domestic partnership.
As we all know, Chantel Day and her partner had applied to be married. They applied at the registrar office for their marriage license. They were denied because they said it was not in their constitution. They went to the Honorable Premier Ali McLaughlin to discuss, well, they went to him, wrote, asking for a meeting to discuss the matter. You all know how he say. He never answers email, phone calls, WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah.
Stop.
Never Stop. It's a disgrace.
This is the Premier we're talking about.
Which is typical government in the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
But they went to the governor at the time, which was Helen Kilpatrick, who was the governor of Cayman Islands back at the time, before the government, Mr. Roper, got in, to discuss it with her. As we know, all she ever did was drink. Oh! So, you can always see her at big. Anyway, she told them to take it to court, which they did. And of course, as you know, the churches, Juliana O'Connor Connolly on her high pedestal with the Christianity thing, and everybody up in arms and whatever have you. And then Magistrate Judge Smelly went through everything and approved it. And of course, government then stepped in and took it away again. Won the appeal.
They found some way to throw a wrench in the works after the judge ruled that they had every right to be recognized as a married couple.
So it went to went back to court again. And obviously the courts read our constitution and what was going on under human rights laws, and they were told that they were in breach and that our laws had to be amended and the constitution had to be amended to allow such things to take place. So as they do, as government, they sweep it under the rug and left it alone. But the girls would not give up. And everybody out here saying, oh, these dirty expats coming in here trying to change our way of life, Christian values and whatever have you. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Caymanian.
This girl is a Caymanian. And she have all rights to challenge any law that she feels doesn't accommodate her with her wishes and what she wants to do with her lifestyle.
Amen.
Yes, her partner isn't from Cayman, but it's the same thing. And the thing that annoys me the most people that are here on work permits can bring their spouse here, male or female, male and male, female or female, and add them to their work permit, which permits them to live here. That's going on right now.
It's a clear sort of bias that kind of had me puzzled, because if you're not of Caymanian origin and you seek these rights, you get it approved. However, if you are of Caymanian origin, suddenly, no, you're sinning extra. You being gay is an extra sin.
Yeah, like, we have no right to the Caymanian.
You have no right.
It's not good. And I said that for many years. It's really disgusting, and I didn't like it, you know. So, but I didn't have to deal with all that bullshit because I was still living in the UK back then. But anyway, they took it to the Legislative Assembly, and honestly, King, I have to tell you, this legislative meeting they had to approve this bill, I was so embarrassed and ashamed to be called a Caymanian for the lack of respect and disrespect our LA members shown that we elect, put in the House to represent us. Yes, we are the small minority, but we still count.
Amen.
Anthony Eden got up there and say, we have to protect our children. That man made us out to be like pedophiles and child molesters, you know, all sorts of things. And I'm like saying, he must have got molested as a child or something. Why it's always about children, 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 children with him. I just didn't get it. You know, and look at our records here and the people that have been arrested here for child molestation. There are no homosexuals there. They're all heterosexuals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and you know, Honorable Dween, who's head of the health ministry, got up there with his huge speech that was a disgrace to the entire country, talking about full moon that had nothing to do with what was going on at that given point in time. I mean, he makes himself look so illiterate when he opens his mouth.
If there's a clip, I will find it and share it on my personal page.
You know,
for those who don't know, this minister was
talking about full moon and how if they pass this law, it's going to affect the birth rates in Cayman because everybody is gay going to love God. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this man?
He was saying stuff about the full moon and sexuality. And it's going to be a full moon. Like,
I put a post out for full moon. And I said, ladies, you know, that our Honorable Green Seymour said that you're going to be in heat and sex and whatever. That won't affect anyone. No people say they're waiting.
It felt
then Sandra from Cayman Mile Road went and Googled it, and the same speech he gave popped up to the top of Google about full moon. So he didn't even write his own speech. He copied and pasted.
Oh no!
You know. So the thing is that I think that needs to be changed here law-wise is that any government elected member can stand in the House of a Legislative Assembly and say anything they feel like and not be held accountable for it. A lot of them don't like me because anything I have to say about them, I say it. I don't care.
You do. You give it to them straight, no chaser.
Yeah, I don't care. Because if they can
sometimes you throw the whole bottle too.
I mean, then he got up in the House a few months before that and said, oh, passed a joke about gay April. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And everybody they're chuckling and laughing. And you know, my experience is people that holler the most or criticize or discriminate the most got something to hide.
Ooh. All right, let's not touch on that.
You know, because even to the protest that we did at the governor's house on Saturday, people were out there protesting. And the biggest mouth out there cannot say nothing about Norman King because she, let me tell you, she has destroyed so many marriages in Cayman. She has burned so much parchment paper and candles that I don't know how she can call herself a Christian.
Wow.
Yet she can stand there and bash gay people. I have seen my own gay friends like this when the churches were out there in front of the Legislative Assembly going, Adam and Eve, Adam and Steve. And I'm looking at them and going, what the hell are you doing out there holding up a sign saying, gay, right? Being gay is wrong. And you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. This is what we will be any better here. And I mean, it is so silly. It's like, you know, have you ever seen one of those posters with a gay person holding up a sign, like twisted side. Only thing was missing was the heel. And I'm like,
Oh,
when are we going to stop pretending? When are we going to be true to ourselves? When are we going to stop jumping across, you know, to the other side to try and defend what these people are doing when within yourself, you're saying to yourself, this is wrong, but to make yourself look and to keep that appearance, you do it. I can't really discriminate against someone doing that because I've done it myself. Like I've said previously, I've gotten in fights trying to you know, keep my reputation as being a heterosexual.
and now you're seeing it now in your gay friends who are closeted and they're out there protesting against their own rights. It's their own right. They're protesting against them.
I mean,
I tell you, we're conditioned to hate ourselves in that region.
So anyway, they voted on the bill. It was 9-8. The bill was lost. Everybody up in arms because, you know, we're under the UK and what the UK says goes. Few months prior, they tried to pass a law, or get England to pass a law, agree to a law, removing the governor's powers that he cannot step in and intervene and pass a bill if they refuse to do it, if it falls under the guidelines of the UK Privy Council.
This is the Legislative Assembly. They tried to...
They will never, read my lips, never get that bill passed now after their behavior in the House of Assembly. There is no way the UK is going to leave them to do anything for themselves because, one, they're breaching the law that was passed down by the courts, saying that they have to amend their constitution. So if they don't want to follow their own laws, why should we? So the governor stepped in and said, look, I have consulted with the UK and they have decided that this bill has to be passed. I'm putting it out here for 6 weeks. As of today, which is the 1st of September, will be the last day that it's out there. And by the end of this week.
So today was the deadline for them to... Today was the deadline for them to pass the law to allow for acceptance of gay unions or gay marriage. I think they're renaming it now.
Well, it's not marriage. They're calling it civil union because they changed the name.
And the governor's office has said that that should be in place by the end of this week.
By today.
Today?
They gave up until today, the 1st of September.
Oh, sorry. I mean the bill. Are they going to pass the bill this week, or
well,
is it going to happen?
Well, it's not down to them anymore. It's down to the governor. So after today, it will be reviewed, and then by the end of the week, it'll be put in place. And they can't do nothing about it.
So see, this is something to celebrate.
This is how stupid our government is. They had this in the palm of their hands.
They did.
To correct, add, take away, whatever they chose to, had they passed it. But a lot of them is only thinking about election next year and want to be elected. So they know if they go with the majority, they wouldn't have any
that. Let's not give them any more time. let me stare it from that. So we're going to have something to celebrate in September when they pass this bill. What I want to say now is bringing it back to the LGBTQ Foundation in Cayman. What is happening for you in September? Because I know something's happening, but I want you to elaborate.
Okay. Well, let me start from here. I lived in the UK, as you were saying. Did very well there. I lived in Camden. Then I went to I moved to Lowestoft, which is in the south part. And it was so funny. My life was just going for the best. I was the first Black person in Lowestoft to ever own a publican license to open a club. I was the first person to open a gay bar called Monroe's in Lowestoft, and it was on the high street. That place was booming, and I did that for many years. My mom used to come and visit every August with my aunt and spend 2 weeks and come back home. So at that point, I told them everything was fine. You know, my life was like, who cares? Just get on with it. You know?
You know what? You need to come back to Manchester and help me set one up. Because anyway, sorry.
No, we need one here. We need one here. And after Ivan, as we know, we really got hit badly after the hurricane, and I had to come home.
September 11th.
Have you? Moving back home, it was like jumping in a time capsule going backwards.
Mm.
And I thought to myself, there is no way in hell I am going back to this hiding, covering up, pretending, you know. So my entire family knew on my father's side, my mom's side, everybody knew about it. And it was so refreshing to realize that no one cared in my family.
Good.
Maybe this is why I can be the type of person I am today.
They've accepted it. They've accepted you.
Yeah, because I got the support of my family, you know. So I came
remember
home.
you always saying that a lot of your success is due to the support of your family, that emotional support that's there, and that really gave you the drive to that boosted your confidence, your self-esteem. That gave you the foundation to put on these many hats that you seem to be wearing. I want to touch on a few of them. We only have 10 minutes left, but I want to touch really quick.
Let me roll. Anyway, so I came home. I did what I had to do. And I thought, okay, this is crazy. Cayman is going backwards, still nothing moving forward. I said, you know what? Let me host the first drag show here. Because I was doing drag in the UK because that was another part of my entertainment thing. It was named Miss Delicious was one of the things. Yes,
Miss Delicious.
Yes. So I put on the first drag show at the living room in the Strand, and everybody thought government was going to yeah. We did it anyway. Yeah. So we got away with that. And, you know, I just keep pushing the barrier a little bit. And while I was there, a couple of friends, well, one person died that I knew, hung himself because of the same depression and stuff, and not knowing what to do, and family shunned and whatever have you. Many of my friends did what I did, legged it out of Cayman and went to the UK to live their lives. And still doing it. And I thought to myself, this is crazy. We have to stop losing so many of our young people because of not being accepted here in the Cayman Islands. And you got to do something about it. Of course, we have another organization here, which is Colors Cayman.
Yes, Colors.
Billy. And Billy has been doing a fantastic job over the years. She's the one that's been alongside the two girls and fighting for the rights and whatever have you. And I take my hat off to her. And, you know, I just thought, okay, she's fighting that side of things and doing such a great job. It's difficult to just carry on and do so much. So I said, you know what, I think we need to start something else up. And that's when I came up with the Cayman LGBTQ Foundation.
There we go.
So my role for this foundation is being a part of Cayman AIDS Foundation, where I'm the CEO for that, is the thing where, as you know, if you say Cayman AIDS Foundation to someone, they're going to say, oh, how's Noel?
Yeah, automatically it's your name.
Automatically. You know, and I do not want that for Cayman LGBTQ Foundation. I want it to be a foundation where, when you say Cayman LGBTQ Foundation, it covers everyone. You know, it is great to be able to say that everybody knows you in Cayman, because I think it's a shorter list to ask people who don't know me here.
It is. And if they don't know, they've just probably been living under a rock in East End or something.
So I said, okay, let's get this together. And I started to put up the Facebook stuff and just mucking around without it being, you know, approved and whatever. So the 20th of April, I registered it. I reached out to Mr. Duque Caesar, who been here for a very long time as well. Very open-minded and always supported the gay community here. So I thought she'd be a wonderful asset to the foundation as well. Plus, she have her degrees in counseling and stuff, so that's one good thing. My sister Kathy, she's next. She's the vice president, a deputy vice president here. So she falls in line when I'm not here to do stuff, and we all work together. Then I reached out to my sister Kathy, the one in Cayman, to come on as our treasurer, because I felt we need to put her a part of it, because she supported me for so long over the years, you know. So, and then it was Kimberly Scott, who is our secretary. And then I thought, let me reach out to the UK to see what Mr. King is doing, to see if we can get him on board, you know, to assist us in different things. So that way you came on board with us, and I thought it was a great thing. So our goal is to try and educate the community with acceptance is one thing. We also want to try and get out there to different organizations, explaining to them what we're about, what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve. I want to have counselors in place that if people need counseling, that they can go to. I sent a couple of people to the HSA counselor that was there, and my report back on that was they felt worse when they left than when they went in. Right. So, as you know, when we take on counselors, we go in depth with them, figuring out what they're about. Are they gay friendly? What their staff is like before we even sign them on or add them to any other social platform, social media platform.
Just recently, we worked on the criteria for what the gay friendly services would have been. So I know it's a strict little list.
Even becoming a member is very strict. Because you remember, we got to, because we want to take this thing seriously. These are people's lives that we're playing with. I don't want to hear that, oh, I'm leaving for the UK tomorrow because I can't live here anymore. This is my home. I've made up my mind that I'm going to stay here and fight because I have a place here on this island. This is where I was born back in 1968. Oh, God.
What did you say? This way your navel string buried.
Exactly. I shouldn't have to leave here because of people's stupidity and ignorance. So, and I'm not doing it. I will stand up right now. I'll stand up and take on anyone. I took on an employee at Red Sales last year, December, for being rude to my friends because they were gay. And when I tried to approach them and ask for an apology, he sent an apology that wasn't even worth the paper it was written on. And he insisted in being rude. So you know where he is today? Back in his country.
Sorry. No. Sorry. Wow.
I am not tolerating any rubbish from anyone anymore.
No, you sent them home. Oh no.
Like I tell people, this is my home. If you want to come here and work, not a problem. But don't come here because you have a horrible, you treat gay people horrible in your country. Don't bring it here. And this is what we need.
Already bad enough there.
We need more people to come out. Because people coming out will make a stronger impact on what we're trying to do. I understand that it's hard with the stigma and discrimination and stuff, but the more we have, the better. A lot of people thinking that it's the expats that are doing all the damage here, but it's not. They're standing up for us. We are more the voice of the people that's in the back hiding. And at times I do get annoyed and upset because I think to myself, why am I doing this? I'm just clearing the way for them to come out and do what they got to do. But at the end of the day, if someone don't do it, it's not going to get done.
Okay.
I understand.
We have to stick a pin there. Thank you so much, Dolly. It's about to end. But really quickly, I just want to plug in for you that September 26th, is it?
Yes.
It's the first fundraising event.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining